screens for the windows, or purchasing equipment and making improvements, to facilities that should be included within the general operating budget, as opposed to augmenting the classroom experience. You want to buy some maps for the wall, or pay for the field trips to go somewhere, if you want to, give each teacher a stipend to buy something for their classroom. I don't have problems with those types of activities, but when I hear organizations such as parent organizations say we're going to buy a new copy machine for the office, the main office, that's not necessarily.
I disagree.
Because what happens is it masks the true cost of education, because those types of expenditures, and I'm not talking about a $100 all-in-one printer like I have in my home. I'm talking about a $9,000 machine that I'm going to purchase.
We should just view it as a gift or a donation, as we do most other things. I mean, I don't see the connection. I mean, if it's a gift and they're donating it, and they're donating their time and their money, and that's what it should be. If they're using our name to commit fraud, then that's a matter for the police.
What I'm saying is that principles have come and gone too. It isn't some of the specific principles that are here now. Were utilizing the parent organizations to supplement the budgetary needs of their schools for the purchase of small capital equipment, things of that nature. To me, that's masking a problem or an issue. Whereby, again, I think the parent organizations shouldn't be spending their money on that. They should be supplementing the classroom experience and outside experience. Pay for the trips to the Museum of Science.
Well, if we're going to do that, I think we should just put a restriction on what, if we want to go in that direction, let's just put a restriction on what private organizations can donate, instead of telling them that they have to.
Part of what the issue I have is more transparency in relation to what is actually being utilized, what's being done under the guise of the town of North Reading, or with whether it be the school department or the board of selectmen or any department heads embracing the whole idea, but it's not really necessarily being aired before it happens. And some people are being led to believe that they are school-sponsored activities, town-sponsored activities, or fundraising events for specific programs and proposals that we may not know anything about. We just experienced that just a short while ago.
I feel it's incumbent upon those private organizations to inform the people that it's not sanctioned by the town.
They do attempt to do that. Some of them do.
No, I just don't feel that this is 100% necessary.
I'm not disagreeing that it's 100% necessary, but there's some necessity to address the issue. To what degree we address it, it's up to us to discuss, but it needs to be. I believe it needs to be addressed.
Are you saying this policy isn't necessary?
Well, I don't feel that. Well, I feel that what I feel isn't necessary is if why do we have to have a private organization that is not using our seal and is raising money to give copiers to the school or something? Why do they have to report to the government? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. If they feel if it's a donation, then it's a donation. It should go through the channels that already exist. I just don't feel that it makes much sense.
What's the difference between a donation and a gift? Is there any difference?
Sure there is.
What?
I'm not sure that there is.
And we're
I guess
required to accept.
I guess a donation may imply that there's some type of request that's preceded it, whereas a gift is something that's given unsolicited without any strings. Donation may be for a specific purpose.
Well, we have to, as a board, we have to accept gifts that come to the community, whether on behalf of whether it's police or fire or public works.
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, you only statute requires you to approve the expenditure. So the actual acceptance of gifts isn't covered under state law. Departments under state law do have a right to accept gifts. We have a right to establish regulations. You are correct that the expenditure of those funds does need to come to you, though. And there are instances where departments will come in and request expenditure of certain donations for certain purposes. Most recently, 2 weeks ago, when and that was a sizable monetary gift, which was the reason why we put it on the agenda. But technically, the expenditure is what requires your approval.
The expenditure. But if someone were to donate a copy machines, Steve is employed, right? Then accepting, is it necessary to accept that? And my interpretation is that it is. But it wasn't an expenditure, it was a gift.
We may not want it.
What?
We may not want it.
Well,
It
yeah.
depends what they're giving you, you know.
Sure.
That's right, we have to be careful, as you said, in terms of what we accept.
And that's what I thought we were trying to control, not necessarily preventing or restricting.
In using the Friends of the Council on Aging as an example, I'm not looking to have, I want to embrace their program and their efforts. And because we know what the direction they're heading in, and we know what the programs they're trying to maintain and grow. Well, go ahead, let's embrace it, and whatever they get, and that's terrific. But I don't need to, again, we don't see those funds that have come in there come before us for approval of an expenditure. And
Well,
nor should we, you know,
maybe
and
this-
those things we shouldn't.
Maybe this kind of separates it. You know, Mike, I think Mike was making a good point, right? We don't really have a right to, you know, unless they're using the town seal or the town name for one of our unions to go raise money. But we do have a right to accept or authorize the expenditure if that money then is given to a town department for a purpose, and we've been doing that.
We've been doing what?
We've been accepting gifts. Now, maybe not all of them because we're unaware of them. That may be what we're trying to rein in with this policy, right?
Well, the expenditure of grant monies too, which is, I think, somewhat precipitated.
Well, I mean, that's
There's
why I
two,
wanted to
right,
separate
the
that,
two.
right.
In other words, we've accepted some grant monies, and now the expenditure of those funds, I'm not sure how much control we really can have over that, and I know the chief spoke with the administrator, he bought into the program, thought it was a good idea, and he has to say, so he did it, that's fine. But, as you said, when you accept some grants, sometimes there are some strings attached.
You know, it may be that, but, you know, it may be something that, you know, is not anything that we're in support of,
Right.
period, right? In which case, you know, it might be worthwhile knowing that the department is proposing this up front, even before they go and spend the time to get a grant. No, we're not going there.
I just believe that the channels.
Rather than to do it after the fact. But I agree with Mike, that to take any independent organization and have them come and get approval from us to go raise money, I think that's taking a step too far. But if that money then is going to be given to, I'll use in case the police department, to do something that we're not in support of, then I think at that point, we need to have a say. Not in the raising of the money, but in, as Greg said, in how the money's gonna be spent.
I feel the mechanism already exists to do that. I mean, if we don't like the way that an organization is raising money, we just choose not to accept that gift or that donation, and then that's.
I don't know, I've been sitting here a lot of years, and, don't correct me if I'm wrong, I probably count on one hand the number of times that issues have come before the board to ask us to approve an expenditure of funds that were donated. Huh? Probably less than that. Yeah.
Yeah, cause there've been, you know, the small funds, I guess, it just.
Yeah, but
you
small
know.
funds grow into big funds, you know, the funds grow, and then they find a use for it. But that rarely, if ever, comes before us, and rarely is there an issue, but I mean, it's,
When if we go back a few weeks ago, you know, it all centered around the motorcycles. You know, I asked, I said, we really need a policy associated with grants, right? I hadn't given any thought to the smaller fund donations that
well,
go in.
it started with using the grant monies for that, but there were also, there was an active solicitation and mailing being sent out through the police department to assist in buying uniforms, paying, all the ancillary costs associated with it. 40 some odd people, or businesses and people that were solicited.
And that's how they propose funding that program going forward after the next 2 years are up.
Not the grant.
My understanding was the grant was used to fund the program for this first year, so.
Right, first two.
The lease payments.
No,
And,
my understanding.
and the overtime associated with the training of the officers. Not to mention Kelly time that was used too, but, which is paid other than through the town.
Yes.
I don't know if we're just digging too deep into this.
Probably.
Yeah, no, because I think the intention of the notifying was, well, let's say, for instance, the Town Workers Association in the town hall was gonna run a fundraiser for whatever the money was gonna be for. It was just simply that the board would be notified, the town administrator would be notified that they're doing that. That, just that simple. Just so that if someone did call us and say, hey, someone called me on behalf of the Town Clerical Union Association, Joe, have you heard about this? Well, at least I can say yes, or I can say no, you know what I mean? I think that's what the intent was. I mean, if I started the Rock Street Association, wanted to raise money to give to the school, I don't have to notify the town as long as I'm calling it the Rock Street Association, But when you're using the town name or title or seal or something like that, I thought that was the intent of this, just so we would be more informed, that's all.
Well, do we want to approve this for first reading?
Well, I'll make a motion to approve with the changes. Now, I had added change the word should to shall, and Sean, you had something on taking out part of a sentence?
Yeah, I thought through the regular channels of communication, I don't know if that's sort of vague to me. I don't know what regular channels of communication are or mean.
So just,
So,
if you cross
I would
that
take
out,
that.
it's just to be given to the town administrator.
Right, and I think what Joe had also, and Steve as well, suggested
Quarterly
that
basis?
it needs to be on a time-specific
Yeah.
basis when,
But full regular,
Yeah,
even the ongoing stuff still stays in the queue and
right. Maybe quarterly.
semi-annual or annual.
Semi-annual,
Semi-annual or annual, I don't care.
that's up for discussion.
Even annually, but semi-annual or annual, they just don't do it in November when everything else is up.
Right.
I think it should be at least twice a year.
Yeah, I think, I'd say semi-annual.
And going further, I don't know if the verbiage in the first two paragraphs are necessary, I don't know.
Right.
The language of the first two paragraphs, I don't know if that's really necessary. There's a lot of verbiage there, and I think essentially paragraph 3 and the enumerated points, I think, are enough to cover the policy.
If I may, Mr. Chairman. But Sean, I think it explains why we're doing it. As I read it, it gives an explanation as to why. I don't have a problem with them, but it's up to how everybody else feels. I just think it explains, why. 20 years from now, nobody will say, why'd they do that?
Won't even take that long.
They'll say that
Won't even
anyways.
take that long.
They
They'll say
remember
that-
the policy
Yeah, I know
exists.
it, yeah. Well, they're gonna say that anyways, but you know what I mean.
I prefer that it be left in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And just to number 5, I would suggest that just add one word to the end of it, commencing, prior to such activities commencing.